I've been to Denmark 5 times, Tunner 3 times, and I've been to Danish music conferences. I think this is my 4th one, and I have watched the industry over the past 15 years, and it was good to start with. But what I've found is that the musicians have really grown, that the artists are flowering, that there seems to be a real movement here in the roots scene. And I've also seen over the years that the industry has grown significantly, and they're putting on this event, which I've been to events in Australia and America and different events in Europe, and I'd have to say this is probably the best one that I've been to. And I think it's a great idea to have this showcase at Tunner, because this festival in the folk community is kind of like a legend in North America. It's one of those things where if you can say, I've played Tunner, that's a feather in your cap. And also the agents and the managers and everybody knows that it's a fantastic event, so people really want to come here. And so to have Folk Spot here, I think is a great idea, because it really entices people. People want to come and see the Scandinavian music anyway, but it's an extra bonus to be able to come to the festival. And I've worked with, I think, maybe about 9 or 10 Danish acts over the years, and we've had considerable success with them. The demand is less than it would be for traditional music, say from Ireland or Scotland, but that music is it's part of world culture, whereas I think the Scandinavian music is a bit more obscure. But sometimes that sort of thing can work in your favor, because there are a million Irish bands and there are a million Scottish bands, and all the festivals have had them all. So it's nice to be able to say, hey, you got to check out this Danish band. This is something really different. So it kind of sets them apart a bit, because they're doing something that not everybody has heard before. Well, I've worked with Hoged and Huarab, and Karen and Helena Bloom, and a group called Instinct, which is now disbanded, and a group called SAR, which I think is also no longer together. And I've done a package with a bunch of different groups, and I've worked with Jonah Blacksmith, and I think there might be 1 or 2 others. And then I've just recently signed Scandinavian String Alliance, which is Morten Huarab and Christian Boog. And again, I apologize if I get it wrong, but Fru Skagara. And so they're coming together as one group, but it's kind of like a Danish folk supergroup, because you have the 3 ladies, and then you have Morten and Christian, who, all of these artists have their own individual credentials. And I'm also talking to Morten about the possibility of a Danish Christmas or a Scandinavian Christmas, because again, there are a ton of Christmas shows that tour in Canada, and the traditional ones, they tend to all be Celtic. And I've had some great discussions with Morten, and I think a Scandinavian Christmas would be something really different that we could do. And there's such a Christmas tradition from Scandinavia that I think it would resonate with buyers. So that's another idea that I'm discussing right now. And a couple of the bands who are here this weekend I thought were quite good, and so we've started discussions about possibly doing some stuff in the future. But the way we work is I tend to work a year to 2 years out. So I actually started the discussion with the Scandinavian String Alliance when I was here 2 years ago, and it's finally coalesced now. And so the bands that I'm seeing here this weekend, if we were going to do something, it would probably be in 2020. Yeah, because right now we're already pitching stuff for 2019. So if you want to get good tours, you really have to work way down the road, in time. I've always thought that when you listen to traditional music, you can hear the soul of the people. I've always found that with the best traditional Irish music. You can tell something about the people from that music. And I work with a group from Zimbabwe right now, and they do a lot of traditional African music. And it's the same thing. You can tell something about the people from the music that they produce, and I find that with the music that I hear too. When I hear the stuff that's either traditional or based on the tradition, that it really does reflect the kind of the Danish soul. And the other thing that I find with the roots musicians that I've always encountered here is that they always have integrity. There's a real integrity with what they do, and they're more concerned with producing something that they feel passionately about than they are with success or how far they're going to go in their career. And I find that very admirable, because really all art, including music, is kind of a reflection of the human spirit. And so if you want to be successful as a musician, you have to do that, I think, with integrity. And if you can also make it a commercial venture, then you kind of have hit a home run. But I think, art without integrity is not really art, it's just commerce. And what I found here, dealing in the roots community, is that there's a lot of integrity. And there's so much goodwill here. The people, the Danes are so nice in general. And within the music community, I just find such a camaraderie and a willingness to go the extra mile, to compromise, to listen to different ideas. So I think that the Danish roots scene has a lot of potential, and if you guys keep doing what you're doing now, just kind of continue on the same course, I think that you can keep this music alive for a long time, and I could see it becoming more common. I could see it spreading out more into North America, maybe into Australia. I know I was talking to one guy who's in a Danish band, and they've been to Australia, he was telling me, 15 times in the last 15 or 20 years. So that's pretty amazing. So I really feel like it's been fun to watch the industry, because I don't know, about 15 years ago when I started watching, it kind of felt like it was in its infancy, and it was trying to get organized, but it wasn't quite there yet. But now it's got an agenda, it's got a vision, it's got a focus, it's organized, and the people are they're top notch. They're really nice, caring people who know what they're doing, and people who know how to solve problems, fix things. I'm very impressed with the whole Danish scene.